it often only takes one idea from a book to change how you see everything. And these 9 books I'm about to share in this video have done that for me so much that I revisit them at least once a year, if not more often than that. And so let's start with one that I open almost every single day. Book number 1 is The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. If you enjoy Ryan Holiday's writing and you enjoy Stoicism, you will definitely like this book because it pulls the best of meditations and discourses and letters from a Stoic. And often when you're reading the full text, you might even glance over some of these highlights that Ryan Holiday makes and then goes on to have commentary for about a paragraph or two. And so it's very short, takes a minute or two to read every morning. And I find that just kind of being curious about what is on that page for that date helps you get excited to read it. And also it sets this focal point for you to meditate on something that you normally wouldn't have. And it's a good challenge at the end of the day to see, hey, can you recall what you started the day with actually reflecting on? So this is something that I highly recommend. I've had this for over 10 years and it's one of my favorites. The second book is Poor Charlie's Almanac by Charlie Munger himself. He is an absolute legend, and on the back of this book, I love this quote. There is an old 2-part rule that often works wonders in business, science, and elsewhere. Number 1, take a simple, basic idea. And number 2, take it very seriously. This book made me feel very seen because I'm somebody who really loves multidisciplinary and cross-domain thinking. And to see somebody who spent so much of his life doing that and thinking about it in such a deep way, just the 25 cognitive biases in this book are worth reading. The reason this one has an impact on me is because I tried reading that when I was like 18 and I got so bored countless times when I tried to read it, I couldn't absorb it. And so years later, I'm actually appreciating this along with the countless mental models that Charlie has thought of, which you'll find yourself making tons of highlights in this book, even though most of them are derived from talks and things like that that are already out there. The third book is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. This is a book that I can see why Andrew Wilkinson, who's a billionaire, former billionaire, has recommended as if you read only one book, this is the one that you should read. And I can see why, because it's something that allows you to understand and observe your own nature and other people's nature. And once you read and understand some of these, you begin to be less confused and reactive to why other people are the way they are or why you are behaving certain times and ways. It allows you to understand that. So if you appreciate, I would say, human psychology, human behavior, and you want to understand people better, whether it is day to day for the workplace, for personal or business relationships, this one will be a staple you find yourself referring back to and getting value out of no matter where you kind of open up on any given day. Book number 4 is The Courage to be Disliked. This has been a life-changing book for me because of the way that it's written. It's a conversational dialogue between a philosopher and a skeptical student, and it really teaches and explores the concepts of this Japanese phenomenon as you are reading the book. And so I find that it made me happier, it made me less anxious, it made me less worried, it made me more maybe appreciative of myself and who I am. And so if you're ever in that mode where you are looking for something like that, this can be a great thing to open up to. It really gives you, even in a minute or two, that dose of inspiration, similar to how the Daily Stoic does, but in a way where you're kind of observing a conversation between two people and potentially getting the advice you need for yourself as well through that. Book number 5 is Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. He has also written The Psychology of Money, which you may have heard of, but The Same as Ever is so worth reading because this is a guide to what never changes. And you probably have heard somebody like Jeff Bezos, there's clips going around where building out a strategy around what won't change is a way to do it instead of focusing on what will change. And so people will want products faster, people will want them cheaper. These are all things we can predict and probably rely on. And so I always wondered, what a deep dive on these concepts would look like. And I just love the way that Morgan Housel writes, because look how thin this book is. Each concept is kind of shown through stories and is a simple way that you will be able to refer back to anytime you're strategizing or you want to refer to timeless concepts. I find Same as Ever does a really good job of doing that. Number 6 is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. This completely changed how I see creativity. It put into words a lot of what I was feeling and thinking about the process already. But what I love is the inspirational and true tone that comes from Rick Rubin here. And I would say that it forces you to think about what inspires you before you think about what inspires audiences, and allows you to be excited to practice creativity, whether it is through a big project that you are working on or whether it is through small acts of combining and associating ideas. This is really kind of one of those feel-good books that also will be a trampoline for your brain and setting off creative ideas in whatever project you're working on. Similar to like The Art of War, you want to read that book before you kind of start a big project. The Creative Act is one of those for me. Number 7 is Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini. So this is a book that I had on my shelf years and years ago. It was a staple that was even heard of back then when I was like in high school, but it was something that I, didn't appreciate, just like the Charlie Munger book. And it was something I ended up giving away when I was slimming down my bookshelf. And I ended up repurchasing a copy because of what a staple this actually is. It is one of those books that Charlie Munger even says that he gave immediately to all of his children. It's one of the biggest recommended books to have in your toolkit, purely because of the cognitive science and research that has been done by Dr. Robert Cialdini and compiled in this book, not just so you can use this maybe against other people, but more so to know when it is being used against you, when is it influencing your own decisions, and when are people persuading you. And so this is a very, very great book if you want to understand how your mind works and want a deeper dive on the science behind that. Number 8 is The Status Game on Human Life and How to Play It. This will completely blow your mind because of just the history, the psychology, the science behind how we have played status games for centuries. One of the main things in this book is about how this is a built-in need and driver for us. And so we are always playing status games. There are 3 different types of status games, and it goes deep into each one. And it also goes into how to play it, right? Inevitably, if we're playing it, how do we become a good player of it without, losing our soul in the process? And so this was a really wonderful book in a little bit of history, a little bit of science, a little bit of, ideas that make you ponder about, the games that we even choose to play. And so this was wonderful in stretching my mind, and one I'll probably be coming back to just because of how much there is in here. You'll find new ideas every time you revisit it. Number 9 is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. This is a book that has been transformational for so many people just because of the wisdom per word that's in here on just life, work, happiness. And look how thin it is, right? It's one of those really dense books that has so much in it no matter which page you flip to. And all of these ideas can be found in tweets, in podcasts, and things that are already out there. And I think it goes a long way to say that compiling it into a book format was worth doing. It's worth having this on your bookshelf. So many people knowing that still go ahead and get this because of just a timeless classic that it has become. So if you want to level up your thinking and your approach, having this is kind of like having a really wise mentor and successful entrepreneur in your corner. Now remember, you don't have to read all of these straight through to get the value. One of the things I love about each of the books I've selected is no matter where you open, at what time, or how much you read, there's likely an idea there that you can use to kind of jumpstart your day or to help solve a problem that you are working on. Let me know in the comments which one you're going to be adding to your list. And of course, check out the links to all of this stuff in the description below. I appreciate you hanging out, and I will see you on the next one.